for joining. It was a bit misunderstanding about the time, but I'm here, you are here, fine, perfect. So I'm going to talk a bit about redundant SRT using SMPTE 2022-7. So it means that you can get seamless redundancy over public internet using open standards. My name is Roland Axelsson. I'm the founder and technical account manager at Intinor. So I will give you a short introduction to Intinor and what we are and what we have done. I will talk to you a little bit about SRT and the limitations of SRT. And then I will go into redundant SRT based on open standards. And I will give you some key takeaways so you can bring with you at least what I think is important. So Intinor, the company I'm working for, we have been doing live video over public internet since more than 20 years now. We are a private-owned company with headquarters in northern Sweden. We do all our R&D and development and production in-house. And until now, we have shipped more than 2,000 units, encoders, routers, decoders, mostly in Europe, but we are starting to send some to Asia and India as well. Our vision is to create the best solution for high-quality video over internet. And to achieve that, we developed our own transport protocol. It's a point-to-point protocol with network bonding. So you can combine Ethernet connection with 4G and 5G and use it as a most efficient way to send data in a robust way over internet. We have features in our protocol: error correction, retransmissions. We can do low latency. We can do adaptive bitrate and resolution. And we also have redundant audio and cost management. So that's our own protocol. And it's a bit similar to the protocols that LiveView, TVU, Haivision have. It only works between Intinor and Intinor. So for this we have developed products. Direct link encoder, and direct router is to receive and output SDI. And we support between the encoder and the router many different protocols, including SRT, RIST, RTMP, and some others. So that was a very short background about the company, what we have been doing. And then the question is, why use internet for live video? So it usually comes down to it's very cost efficient compared to fiber and satellite. It's also very flexible. It's fast to deploy, especially if you compare with fiber. You can get an internet connection almost anywhere. You can use 4G, 5G. So it's very easy to get up and running on internet. And our customers use it mostly for live sharing content with the partners. You can send live from some remote studio or location. You can do remote productions using the internet to reduce the number of people on site. It can also be used for distribution of local, regional, minority channels to cable TV headends. And it can be used as redundancy for fiber and satellite. But it's up to savings. This slide is to show you a little bit about the difference between different protocols. As I mentioned before, Bifrost is our bonding protocol, and it can be used for both wired and mobile networks. So it's very good for a combination of 4G, 5G, Ethernet. But there are also open protocols that can be used for multi-vendor operability. If you want to share your content with others who don't happen to have our encoders or our decoders, then SRT is a very good protocol for this. Another protocol that can be used is RIST. But none of those have the bonding functionality is more for the redundancy and interoperability. So let's go into SRT, Secure and Reliable Transport. It's a royalty-free open source protocol for live streams. It's encrypted, it has error correction. It's developed by Haivision, but they released it for free for open source to make it more used in the industry. So now it's supported by many vendors, which means interoperability. If you want to share your content with others, SRT is the #1 protocol to use. We are an SRT Alliance member. We are also having SRT products, and we participate in PlugFest, which means that we are testing our equipment with other equipment to see that we are compatible. One misunderstanding is that if you have an SRT device and another has also an SRT device, they are always compatible. But it's not always true. SRT is just a protocol to send live data. It doesn't specify anything about what's in the protocol. It's mostly used for sending MPEG-TS, but it can actually send anything. It's only a protocol wrapper. So an MPEG-TS, that's a standard for sending live video. That's something that an encoder and a muxer can comply with. But MPEG-TS is not enough compliant to send to all of the decoders. Many decoders are more strict, and they also require DVB compatibility. So this is important to know that every SRT encoder cannot send to every SRT decoder. It's also that every decoder doesn't support maybe your video codec you're using, H.264, HEVC, the chroma you're using, the color bits you're using, the resolution. If you're sending a 4K, you need a 4K decoder. And you also need a decoder that can do a multi-track audio. Sometimes there is a Dolby inside. So it's not always that every encoder can send to every decoder. Our encoders and decoders support all of the above requirements. We are trying to make it as much interoperability as possible with other equipment. So just to summarize, the encoder should be DVB compliant. The decoder should be able to receive the kind of content that you want to receive. And sometimes you don't know what you want to receive in the future, so it's good to have a multi-format decoder that can receive a lot of different codecs and codec settings. So just having an SRT encoder or an SRT decoder is no guarantee for compatibility. And there are also other limitations of SRT. There is no network bonding in SRT, and there is no network redundancy in SRT. So if you have an encoder, an SRT encoder sending over the internet, there is just one path going to the decoder. And if there is some problem over this path, you will have interruptions. SRT has something called path redundancy, but it's only used by very few vendors. I think only Haivision, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, error correction is there. That's the reliable of SRT. But error correction doesn't help if you have congestion, if your internet capacity is dropping after some time, for example. And it also doesn't help if you have interruptions. If your internet connection has a 10-second interruption, there will be a stop on your stream. And if you're sending from one encoder to one decoder, just using one path over internet, there are actually 3 points of failures at least. You have the internet provider on the sender side, you have the internet provider on the receiver side, and you can also have some issue between those. There are many peering points on the internet where there can be congestions or interruptions. So, and then we come to redundant SRT, and this is a concept that was developed by Eurovision Services. They provide a lot of content to a lot of takers, and they realized that limitation with SRT, it's only one path. Some takers always had problem, and they developed a concept where they put together some open standards to achieve redundancy on SRT. And those building blocks are RTP, SRT, and SMPTE 2022-7. So combining those blocks together, one can achieve redundant SRT over public internet. And what is RTP? So just a very short description. RTP is a protocol for delivering audio and video over IP networks. It's a quite old protocol. It's been around for more than 30 years. It runs on top of UDP. It doesn't have any error correction, what it does is that it adds a header to the stream with a sequence number and a timestamp for each packet. And this is very important, and this is not, if you're sending just a UDP stream with MPEG-TS, you don't have this sequence number and the timestamp, so you don't really know how many packets you lost and if they come out of order. SMPTE 2022-7, that's a standard for combining 2 or more RTP streams and make them into a redundant stream with seamless protection switching. And this is also a protocol that has been around for a while and is used for sending redundant over fiber. It's used for some other applications like audio and so on. So it's an open standard. So we combine those standards. Why do we do this? And that's to get either 2 SRT connections and do a redundancy between those. So that's the same as the SRT path redundancy is also doing. But it's also possible to use RTP over fiber and use internet as the redundancy. So you can use internet as a backup for a fiber connection, or you can use internet as a redundancy for a satellite connection. So this is a big difference when you are using those open protocols and base your solution on open standards. So if you're sending from an encoder with redundant SRT, you are sending 2 streams, 2 RTP streams over different internet providers. So this is your first internet provider, this is your second internet provider, and then you send it over internet. And the receiver side can also have 2 internet providers, A and B. And you can get an SDI out, or you can get an MPEG-TS out for other decoders. And the nice thing here is that any of your internet connections, here, 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 or here, can fail without interrupting the stream. There is a seamless redundancy. And this technology is also compatible with other products like Appear, Atem, MediaKind, NetInsight. So it's not something that is only working with one vendor's product, it's interoperability. So if you want to send SRT, important, again, to have a MUX that can deliver a DVB stream. You want to be able to send at least 2 identical RTP streams over SRT. You should be able to support both caller and listener, because some of your takers may want to be caller and some takers may want to be listeners. And it's also important that you can configure different settings for different takers. Maybe one taker requires more latency, and then you must be able to configure that for that taker. If you want to receive redundant SRT, it's important to have a multi-format decoder. And you also want to have access to some SRT statistics for troubleshooting. So you want to see how it's working, how your 2 or more streams are working, and the latency between them and so on, so you can configure it in the most optimal way. This is a technical note from Eurovision to takers. This is about which products to use if you want to receive streams from Eurovision services. And all of them support SRT, but not all of them support redundant SRT and all the features that can be included in a DVB stream. Of course, there are some other things to think about when using redundant SRT. It's very good to have some cloud-based management and professional support. You want to be able to monitor and troubleshoot your transmissions. It can also be good to have a bidirectional encoder-decoder gateway, because you may not know what your next project will be, and then the flexibility and the possibility to change the configuration is also very important. So the key takeaways for you is to send video over internet can be as robust or even more robust compared to single fiber or single satellite. It can be a lot more cost efficient, but make sure to use network redundancy, because if you're using only one internet connection, it works most of the time, but when it doesn't work, then you will have a problem. And if you're using a network bonding protocol, you can also use 4G, 5G. If you use redundant SRT, for example, then you should use only fixed internet connections. And redundant SRT is the best choice for interoperability today. So RIST is also a nice protocol, but it's not used by so many vendors as SRT. So that is my presentation. I'm exhibiting together with Raoul Commerce in stand B05A. So if you want to know more about this, you're very welcome, because I have a demonstration. I can show you how redundancy works, and I can show you what happens if you have an internet problem, and what happens if you have redundancy, and what happens if you don't have redundancy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that presentation. I would now like to hand over a small token of our appreciation for your presentation. Thank you.